Well, thank you so much for remaining with us. We started this morning, part of the things that we say in the opening was to apologize, or rather, condole with those who suffered injuries or even lost lives when that train and bus collided in Lagos in the course of the week. We've also been told that there are a number of such, one other incidents like that happened in the course of the week. Well, that's part of our conversation this morning because it's rather sad that the regular spate of automobile accidents or crashes, as the professionals call it, on Nigerian roads and resultant avoidable loss of precious lives should be a matter of concern to all. It is a matter of concern to us, concerning enough for us to have a discussion on it this morning. The institution charged with providing welfare and security for citizens, which is governments at all levels, should be seen to take the phenomenon very, very seriously. How seriously that has been done, I guess we'll have that conversation this morning. Lagos to Oyo, Enugu to Sokoto, the spate of road crashes or road accidents, whichever one you choose, is alarming. Even more alarming is the attitude towards road safety. Let's have this conversation this morning with Dr. Kayode Okwefa, who is Executive Director, Center for Sustainable Mobility and Access Development. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Yeah, good morning.
We also have with us Mr. Adenosi Patrick, who is a road safety expert. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Good morning.
Well, let me begin with you, Dr. Okwefa, because one of the issues that brought us here, which you have also responded to one way or the other, is the collision that happened in Lagos. There are those who are wondering what was missing. What was the gap that made that happen in the first place? We understand that the driver took off after the accident. So what was the gap that made that happen, that should have been blocked?
Yeah, let me join you and join the all those people who have commiserated with the people of Lagos, Nigeria, and Lagos State Public Service in commiserating with what happened. And then also to say that this period is a tough one when you consider that we have about 6 fatalities to start picking holes or faults. On general TV. However, we still have to discuss the issue. And also to note that there is an investigation set up by I understand the state government as a preliminary one. Then the national government had also progressed from where we were some few months ago. Now we have a National Safety Management Board also. That is the former AIB. Yeah. So I think that's one of the recommendations some of us have been calling for in the transportation sector, that a national body. And also to say that there are a lot of eyewitness statements which we can, all of us are basing our assumptions on. For me as a professional, I visited the site yesterday, not as if I don't know the place. I just decided to see and then talk to people in the area, and I note one thing. Anytime I get to that level crossing, based on what we learn in the driving instructions, I completely stop. The first rule at every ray crossing, if you take your driving instruction book, if you go for that written test, even the one we do here in Lagos, is there when you get to driving course. So I went to look for things around, and I spoke to people, eyewitnesses, and I don't want to jump on what has been but the eyewitness opinion is already in the public domain that there was a level crossing gatekeeper who stops people. People stopped, and somebody tried to overtake all others, and there was a collision, and the incidents became an accident, and there were fatality. So many things from there will have been missing. One will think of, why will that person have jumped? This person is not a first-time user. He's probably using that route on many occasions. So the things me and Mr. Pat will be looking for, whether they are there, will no longer be of importance, because you will assume this man knows the I use the word assume. He knows the terrain, and at the time the man passes the place, probably is the time the train also passes. So the man must have experienced train coming at one point or the other, or at the time he goes home too is the time the train also moves around 4 p.m. So he must have experienced train coming. So we now want to infer what could have happened. Then also unusual, you also have the traffic management people at that point. So that means it is envisaged that that place needs additional resources. So they put human resource at that point. I also noticed I saw a police vehicle. I inquired, they said police also normally stays around because that area is a construction zone and is also whatever. And the other thing also that is notice that there are so many crosses. I noticed about 9 or 7 to 9 places vehicles can go. So it's not a place you speed. So if somebody crosses that rail and thinks you can push speed, you can't. I pass through that place whenever I'm going from Ikeja to Agege. You have to slow down, even if there is nobody in that area.
Because it's steep.
It's steep, and then it goes down. It's not that high before. It became higher.
And the tracks. You can't speed over the tracks.
You can't slow down. So if you attempt to beat a train in that place, you might be caught out of frame.
Difficult.
I normally, when I stop, I tell my driver, stop. Show you go. We didn't see anything. When we get to the track, I will tell you fast. Even though you say fast, you can't move fast because you have to. And you know, luckily, somehow again, that place used to be a rough ground, but it has been improved.
Okay.
Asphalt has been put on that place to reduce the traffic.
Essentially, you're saying,
so many things could be seen.
You're saying that on the part of government, significant, maybe not sufficient, but significant interventions have been put in place.
Okay. Over time.
Well, Mr. Adenusi, the update I have now is that the driver has surrendered himself to the police, and investigation and all of that is going on. But given what Dr. Okoyefa has already said, I know you may want to add a thing or two to that, but what do you think happened? It's not like, as he said, it's a state government bus, and it's a government vehicle that he's driving, and there are state government officials on the bus. What could have happened, in your own opinion, that could have caused that could have been avoided?
Well, the art of driving in Nigeria is abused by a set of people. And the first among the least are government officials, ranging from the military, the paramilitary, the federal government drivers, state government, local government. They don't follow traffic rules. They don't obey it. So that happened is not anything strange to me, that a government driver refused to stop when he ought to stop. But in 2023, that we can have a human being there as a flagger, but that in 2023, that Nigeria as a country puts a human being there to flag the train is not only shameful, it's primitive. There should be stop signs there. Put a stop sign, put the railway crossing flashing lights. Now, if all of those things are there, could the driver still do that? Yeah, we might say yes, and we could also say no. Now it's that he saw a human being who is holding a stick with a red flag and is waving him to stop. And as far as it's concerned, because lawlessness is part of our daily life on our roads in Nigeria. It's not peculiar to Lagos. Anyone that is doing the right thing is the one that is seen as foolish. So he wanted to be smart. Unfortunately, his supposed smartness has injured people and also killed innocent, unsuspecting people who were supposed to be moved from point A to point B. So it's a regular thing for government drivers not to obey rules.
Well, we'll talk to the general. Okay.
Mr. Denusi, I chuckled when you spoke about the railway flashing lights or traffic lights or whatever else you want to put there to alert people that there is a train crossing. Because you opened by saying that government drivers don't, as a rule, obey any rules. So even if those lights were there flashing, do you think that this man would have stopped?
Yeah,
because he sees himself as, I'm a government driver, I'm above the law, so I'm not going to obey this red light.
Yeah, I would say 80% he will stop, because you see the light. Okay, let's even take a look, an example of it is raining. With the flagger standing in the rain and be flagging. So, but when you see the flashing light, it's flashing red. That's even telling you danger is across your path. So common sense will still send a message home. The most uneducated human being that cannot spell, or you put alphabet A before, who cannot call it A or R, if you show the person a red cloth or red material and say, what does this stand for? They will tell you danger.
Yeah.
So, and now you see two flashing lights telling you that there is danger ahead of you. So the likelihood of him stopping is higher.
But in those days, there was an arm.
A barrier.
Yes.
That's why I was asking.
That would come down, and then some bells would ring.
Correct.
Do those still exist?
They are on vacation here.
Oh, okay.
So essentially you are saying you're disagreeing with Dr. Okwefa when you say that the things that government needs to do has been fully done.
Unfortunately, government has not done as much as what they should do. Let's move from the rail. I mean, look, the rail is on the land. The road where the driver came from before he got to that point, they have poor signages. There are no road markings, there are no speed limits, there's no stop sign. And so all of us, anyone that is driving on Nigerian road in the night is driving blind, because you don't even know the lane where you belong. Yeah. So we are used, I see people cross the road in Lekki and they are arrested for running across under the pedestrian bridge in Lekki Phase 1. So sometimes, curiously, I'll just stop and ask, where do you live? He said he lives in Dokwem. From when the child when he was conceived, the mother was dashing across the road. There is no pedestrian bridge in Dokwem. He has never seen anyone around that area. And so now he grew up there, he's still living there, he comes to Lekki. You think the natural state in him is that he should dash across the road. So he's crossing right under the pedestrian bridge.
So it's one thing to have... He doesn't know what
the pedestrian bridge is for.
He thinks it's cosmetics.
Decoration.
That's
so
right.
It's one thing to have the infrastructure. It's another thing for people to be educated enough to use them.
Absolutely. And you see, commercial drivers, because that's what that driver falls into. Commercial drivers, the rigor they go through before they get the driver's license outside Nigeria, especially in the West, is not the same here. So their exposure is higher. And that is not to say that train accidents don't happen abroad. It does happen. It happens a lot, much more than we have here, though. You know, my brother can attest to it. Over 2,000 train accident happens in America. So let's not think that, oh, it's just a Nigerian thing. Yes. Let's not think, oh, this one is just a Nigerian. It does happen. You know, but 9.5 out of 10, they are avoidable.
Dr. Okwefa, the issue of traffic lights, the government at all levels, or both levels, they've spent a lot of money putting up traffic lights. And it really hurts me, pains me in my heart when I see mainly commercial drivers not obeying traffic lights. my light goes from red to amber to green for me to go. I'm about to pull out, and you, yellow downfall, you are racing across, and another one behind you, and another one behind him, and your light says red. If I was a careless driver and I just obeyed the light, collision at that junction, plain simple. And at the speed they are traveling, it could be fatal. Mm-hmm. But policemen are there, LASMA officials are there, and they watch them do this thing. It's like, to me, my interpretation is they are fed up. It's like, how many are we going to arrest?
Thank you. I think, once again, let me say this accident is an unfortunate one. Is it avoidable? Yes. And it speaks to what you have just said. I'm not saying that everything that needed to be done has been done. What I said earlier is that what else could have prompted somebody who passes through a regular route with LASMA, with gatekeeper, with everybody shouting, and the person still prepares to come. It speaks to what you just said. Now, we are talking of automated, different modes of deterring people from committing this kind of infraction. But now you have a traffic light, and some people are still disobeying. It's not even showing red, it's showing yellow, green, red, enough to make you mesmerized. So that is to let us understand what safety is when it comes to transportation. There are those people who are pathological about safety. They say, who cares? There are those who believe, hey, if it doesn't happen, if it happens, it will be corrected. But there are those people who say they are proactive, they put up all the measures, and they think it will not happen. But generally, for transport sector, safety should be seen as general. Everybody should own it. So if I own the safety and you don't own it, you put me in danger. That's what happened to the people inside the bus, and also the train driver, the bus driver, and people in that area. Somebody just dropped the ball. And for that person to drop the ball, so that's why safety should not be seen as just putting up those things. It should be seen as a system. And anytime there is a failure of that system, it calls for a review. That's the approach I'm taking on this matter, because we have people who lost their lives, and some people are still in the hospital. The point I think that should compel us, whether it is road, whether it is rail, whether it is air, sometimes they will just tell you in the aircraft that due to operational reasons, your flight had been delayed. Then we all start screaming. Then sometimes you peep through the glass, you see the particular aircraft you are supposed to take. Some people are walking on the wings, and you are angry. All you just want to do is to travel and get out. But some people have told you, and that's why the air safety is still, the policies around air safety is still about the best in the whole transport system, because once we are in the air, there is no more who is going to save me. So I think in this issue, we still need to do more. Every incident is an opportunity to appraise what happens and improve the system.
Stick to what Mr. Adonis Patrick said the other time about government officials who do not obey government signs. Bus drivers of government officials, including security personnel, and ambulance drivers, empty ambulances, and then they are racing across. What's there to say to those ones?
Okay. I will start by saying, sometimes in November, the Chartered Institute of Transport Administration had the National Transport Summit, and the theme was on transportation safety. And I presented a paper on the rail sector, and all these issues you mentioned came out from all the different modes. Now, in 2007, April, Lagos State government enacted a law on the Driver Institute. That was one of the main reasons, just to sanitize the commercial. If you go to UK, Europe, America, you drive yourself. But in this part of where we live, we have a driver. Now, many of us don't even care about who the driver is. And a lot of them starts not by learning how to drive, but they learn how to drive on the steering. That law proposes that if you are doing driving as a profession, that is as a means of livelihood, you must go to the Lagos State Driver Institute for, I think it's 1 day in 1 year. And a lot of us have drivers, and our drivers are not certified for that job. If you want to drive the aeroplane, you get certified. You want to drive the train, you get certified. For you to do some jobs, you get certified. To be an accountant, you get certified. The same thing goes for driving, because you are moving people more than yourself and not your family members. So you have to be certified. That's the first part of the thing that has been done that I know in Lagos. And I know when I was when I was in Lagos, we ensured that all drivers in the government service go through the institute, and my drivers go through the institute. I make sure they go, because when they drive me, I'm scared also. But I'm only confident when I drive myself. And the reason why I can't drive myself most often time is that I'm always looking at things that are going wrong or not. So the first thing we need to understand is not peculiar to government drivers. It's all of us. Safety should be seen as general. If we start limiting it to...
No, I agree with you, but perhaps the point he's making...
I'm not disagreeing with you.
Perhaps the point he's making is that if these are government officials and these are government rules on the streets, they should be the signposts of it. Like, okay, this is the way I'm supposed... This is something that government has done, and I'm a government official. I should obey the law so that people will take a cue from
I think that's it. They should even obey the law much more than... They should be seen to be an example to others. But the point I'm making is that we should not zero down to government. You only use it as example because in this instance, the truth of the matter is most corporate is common among our corporate drivers. And it is also our own concern. When you hired your driver, have you ever bothered to ask where the guy ever drove before coming to you? I discovered many of them started with public downfall or kuropi. That was not kuropi then. Public downfall driving. Go and check it. Just take sample of the drivers in your that you know are corporate, and they keep changing. So we all have to show concern about who drives us. I'm talking about driving now, because if you don't do that, they will drive your kids, your family members when they are not there, and they will do things that are not supposed to be done.
But how do we do that with commercial buses? I'm sorry, I'm coming back to you, Mr. Patrick. How do you do that with commercial bus drivers? I mean, I'm at the bus stop, I just boarded this bus. I can't be asking.
What we should do, I started in Lagos, and it should be made national. The national, I think FRC also believes in that, is that everybody who wants to operate commercial driving, that is driving me or driving anti-alero, must go to a driver institute on a yearly basis or renew your certification. I mean your competence level. Once we all adopt that, the same thing in aviation, the same thing.
Is the institute still there?
It's still there, and they've even increased in number. The last time they told me they are now about 8 in different parts of Lagos. It's a simple thing. Go there. Whatever is the situation, the fact that you sit in a place out of work for 1 day is enough to humble you and to listen to those errors you commit. People, when we ordered the automatic brake testing machine, I went to Pennsylvania for the pre-shipment inspection. Believe me, I failed the test. It was on the 3rd time that I was able to brake properly. I thought I would pass. They said, I tested, fail. I said, me fail. Fail, 2nd time. And the 3rd time, I passed. So that made me to understand that. So my braking capability skill is not that good enough. I give you another example. When I did my road driving test in the US, the written test, maybe they expect me to spend 10 minutes. I did everything in 3 minutes. I'm in Nigeria. Then when they now got me to the road road test, and the guy, I thought I passed. The guy told me I failed. I said, what happened? He said, did I notice at the stop sign that I didn't stop well? I said, I stopped. That I didn't see anything. He said there was a dog passing by. I'm telling you my own particular story. And I know many Nigerians who have driven for many years. When they go for road tests in the US, they seldom fail the road test the first time, because we take so many things. But if you look at the written test we were examined on, those things were clearly stated.
Okay. Well,
so it is something that we have to, this incident is a wake-up call for the Nigerian railway system.
My apologies,
for
Doctor.
the road system.
We've been having these wake-up systems. I'm not sure how long.
But we have never woken up.
It'll take us to wake up, because we've heard about this railway tracks. I mean, whatever it is, the vehicles getting off the rail, for some time. Trucks falling on their sides and all those things. I don't know how long it's going to take us to
trucks
wake up.
And containers falling off trucks.
Exactly. Now, Mr. Patrick, you of course, I'm sure you want to respond to a thing or two, but speak to the expertise that he spoke about for all levels of drivers. Personal drivers, I mean, you driving yourself, you having a personal driver, corporate drivers, government drivers, you name it. I don't even know how to put that question, because I'm not sure how many people who drive themselves today went to any driving school. And there are no minimum qualification standards for you to drive your own car. Yet we have these issues all over the place. Where do we go from there?
Mr. Dennis, I remember in those days when you drove yourself and you had an accident, retort from people around, I go drive myself.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, well, driving is a communication between the road and the driver. But what we have here beginning is the fact that we have drivers that the roads are not communicating to. So the driver then begins to do what they think is right. In the real sense, the driver ought to be told what he can do per time. That's a major standard normal rules in driving.
That's on the roads.
On the roads.
The road should tell you what to do.
The road speaks to you. There's a communication.
Yes,
it tells you what you can do and what you cannot do. But unfortunately, our roads are dumb. They don't talk. And so that then puts it that when you look at the Nigerian Highway Code, you see all of those road signs there. The ones that even read it, when they now get to the physical road itself, the signs are not there. So they are confused. So the starting point will be that every driver, whether you've driven for 20, 30, 40 years, or you are just about to start the art of driving, should have easy access to the Nigerian Highway Code. So FRSC should be able to liaise with Channels TV, any radio station, other government agencies, to have a link on your website wherein anyone can just click and download that document for their personal development. Because we're at a crisis point.
Mr. Denisi, are you insinuating that all those commercial bus drivers on the road actually have read the highway code and know the meaning of the contents of that?
Well, some of them have not. They have seen the highway code, but they have not read.
But when they are tested before they are given commercial bus drivers licenses, is the highway code not one of the things they are tested on?
Ideally, it should. Okay, is it everything? All signs, they have the letter and they have the graphics. When you see a P and a line runs across, it means no parking. So, but to illiterate,
yes,
you will find some that says NOPARKING.
yes.
So for the literate, that tells you no parking. For the illiterate who cannot read, the sign tells them this is what this sign means, and they understand it. So they can be taught through the graphics, and so they know. But that has to happen when they come into the Lagos State Drivers Institute that Lagos State government set up some few years back.
Starting from Oshodi.
Yes. So, and I think they had 6 centers then. The initial stuff was that every driver in Lagos should go through.
My driver attended.
The Drivers Institute.
I think at that time it was 2,000.
Started as 500.
No, it was 1,000 naira. The value is about 20,000 naira, but the state government said 1,000. Now, my suggestion to them then, including him who refused to agree, was that all drivers, including you and I,
should go.
Because 98% of people who drive on Nigerian road are not drivers. We just move the vehicles. For example, look, when you go outside Nigeria, the number one reason why most people who relocate fail exam is they see the signs, they can't interpret them. So when you get to a stop sign, the sign is not saying anything other than stop. So you get there, you stop.
Whether there's any car approaching or not, or in sight, you stop.
You just get there and you stop. But we see the stop sign here. Did nobody stop? So
many people actually think that the yellow sign is stop, run before run before it turns red.
So you see, so we have that issue in our hands. So I've suggested that FRSC should make the highway code available to all. From here right now, if you go online, you can download all the highway codes of different states in the US. So why are we still selling ours? Put it out free. Let's give all motorists 6 months. That look, download this. We're in 6 months' time, and within the 6 month spaces, all state government begins to put signs on their road, put road markings, and so we have given the road a facelift. It can now communicate with the driver. Until we do that, all of us will be guessing. The crisis will continue, and it's increasing on a daily basis. Let me shock you. The national fatality figure that Nigeria submits to WHO is 5,045 people dying on our road annually. WHO's record of Nigeria, which they collate themselves through the various general hospitals and police, is 39,802 are killed on Nigerian roads annually. That's on the average about 115 people are killed daily on our roads. Ouch. And we are still not concerned.
Well, Dr. Pefa, I really don't envy you, because you really had to. I mean, you've been in the saddle, so you know the challenges firsthand. In fact, I'm almost certain that that's why you decided to take this as a personal course, for the rest of your life, if I dare say. Now, these are the challenges we have on our hands. It might be a tough call to say everyone should go to driving school, but in the days of Zoom, maybe it's something that can be considered. As you said, it's just one day, right?
No, it's actually some hours. It's not up to a day.
I'm just saying. I mean,
it's some hours. It's about one and a half hours.
For you to do that, you have to take leave off work or something.
For a whole day.
But so, do you think really that is something that people should actually consider? Do you think it is something that should?
I will answer that, but let me just inform you, for the purpose of national affairs, that the issue of level crossing has been reviewed in Nigeria since 2002, and all real developments since 2007, starting with the Abuja rail system and the Lagos Blue Line design, were designed not to have level crossing, because you don't want that human error part of it. And that is why in Lagos they've started the advert, whatever you call it, that people should be aware that the red the blue line is going to be electric. You can even see the design of the blue line is already segregated. Coming to the red line, there are 10, or it used to be 10 or 18, but it has been reduced to 10 level crossings on this Lagos Ijoko or the red line corridor. And I'm aware all the 10 have been identified to become grade, so that there will be no need for. You can see the one at where you call the Keja along.
Yeah.
Is to prevent people from using the one just after it, so that if you're coming from the Keja Road, you can just swing in. There's one going on in a Bute Meta Uyibo. There's one in the Yaba level crossing. The popular one is changing. This particular one too, I understand, has been awarded, and is supposed to have gone grade. So that is the way, one of the two ways common now to go. It's not that the other ways are archaic if the systems are put in place, but that is the intention for the Lagos. And I know that the federal government is doing some. Now, coming on the training, which is another aspect, because you have the human error, you have technology, you have innovation, you have so many things you could do. But in this particular case, for road safety, I don't think it is too much for all of us to agree to take a driving proficiency evaluation test once in a year. If you are commercial,
once in a year.
If you are commercial, once in a year is just the minimum.
Okay.
In the US, it is there. In the UK, it is there. If you are not commercial, it may be like a burden, but there might be a profit with technology in now where you can. There are places you go, prometric exams, JAMB exam centers, where you may not be able to cheat. There may be centers for the CBT thing to appraise you. When my driver license in the US expired, and I wasn't able to travel for like a year or two, I went back. Do you know I went through everything all over? I went through the written test, and I went through the road test all over. They are not doubting whether if your driver license expired for, have you said you did? I said, it's not a business to them. Their rule says if you don't renew your driver license after 12 months, you have to go through all the tests again. And when I went through all the tests, believe me, the road test was not also that pleasant. So,
but Dr. Kmefa, here, when you want to renew your driver's license, they do ask you, so they bring out the highway code, and they still ask you some questions every time you want to renew.
No, that's adequate. Don't let us think it is that bad. It is adequate if it is just the written test that you are given. What we are saying is...
It's an oral test, actually.
Whichever form. You have done the basic test, you have passed. So as you grow in the system, you may not drive for some number of months or years, or your eyes might have dimmed, or your age, your physiques. That's why they want to see you to reascertain those things. So the issue is more of the commercial drivers. But the personal drivers, there may be, like you said, there is now technology, how you can take exams. We have improved on that. It will not be too much considering what we are seeing. But on this particular accident, let me say, I'm also aware that the National Safety Board has kicked in. They are moved in already. I'm privileged to know. And this might be the first assignment that we have after the law was passed. And it's an opportunity for Nigeria to start setting. In that, my paper, I raised a lot of issues. We need to set a national transportation safety policy that will outline all the modes of transportation, the minimum safety standard. We need to have an agency to manage it. Good enough, that agency currently has been passed into law. The next thing we now need to do is to set up the processes, and we need to speed up the federating units. When it comes to safety, that's why they escalate it to national level. They don't leave safety to state level.
It's interesting.
So there are things, that committee, that investigation is going to throw up a lot of issues. And on this railway, we need to look at the rail track safety audit in view of this particular situation, of all our situations. So whatever that safety board throws up, I think the national government and the state federating unit should take it very seriously, because now Lagos is going to run rail, Abuja is running rail, Kaduna is thinking of running rail, Niger State is thinking of running rail, River State has started, and they will soon complete. So these things will come up and it will start becoming a normal way of life. If you look at the statistics worldwide, either in UK or in US, level crossing alone constitute 25% of real accidents.
You know, when you talk about
means,
when you just mentioned level crossing, the first time you mentioned it, it reminded me of zebra crossings. And someone is sending a message now, so I'm going to ask you, Mr. Adenisi Patrick. Commercial drivers, this is Victor Owo, says commercial drivers should face the greatest punishments for traffic offenses. He said, I stopped at a zebra crossing or at the red light, and the corporate driver behind will insult the living daylights out of me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, unfortunately, that's where we are, and it's as a result of the fact that the cost of breaking the law in Nigeria is very cheap. It's very cheap. Mm. You run red lights outside this country. It's not a joke. Well, you pay for it.
It's to run a red light. If the camera should catch you, it's 20,000 naira in Lagos.
That's the vehicle that the plate number is readable.
Oh.
Okay. just before we go, after that container fell off at Ojuelegba a few weeks ago, we discussed it on the program, and we had road safety boss in the studio, and unfortunately, somebody watched, or should I say fortunately, he watched it after the fact, so he could not call in during the program, and he has sent his own thoughts. Ogieva Emokbai says, containers are falling off trucks for the following reasons: disregard for the principles of load safety. The weight of the container is of the utmost importance, and that is why it is important to use the weigh bridges. And then choosing the appropriate vehicle for haulage. Sometimes it's very necessary to use low-bed trucks for heavy containers because they provide more stability for the load. Mr. Okwefa?
It's correct until the last point.
The low bed?
It doesn't have to be a low bed. Okay. Those trucks that picks the containers are adequate. And that's the vehicle. You know, I mentioned about the safety policy regulations. Those are the vehicles.
But they're not harnessed.
No.
They're just put on the trucks.
Let me explain it. You know, if you are not fully deep into something, you don't really get it. I saw one yesterday under the bridge on my way to this accident. A trailer carrying container fell under the bridge of that last bridge, and everything fell. When you see a trailer falling or fell with the container hooked to it, that is perfect. Mm-hmm. That's what should happen. Mm-hmm. Now, what happens is the losing of center of gravity. That's the point he's trying to make, saying you go on the low bed. Yes. But it's correct to the weight. If the weight is correct and the vehicle equipment is okay, mm-hmm. the center of gravity will be maintained during bend. This one was trying to make a bend from Ikeja, Julie Pharmacy side to turn to the airport side, mm-hmm. and it fell this way. That means it doesn't mean that it's sped. It may not be speeding, but it lost center of gravity. So there is a disconnect between the weight that is being carried and the capacity of the
question you want to ask is whether or not the individual involved even understands, what did you call it now? Center of gravity? Yeah. Let's not even go there. We understand that we're hoping to bring the commercial from the Road Safety Commission, Road Safety Corps to the studio next week. Hopefully we'll be able to. One of the things that I'd love for us to be able to take on with him is the road signs. Bring the road signs, show people...
Or the lack of them on Lagos roads.
No, let's even see them. Let's let the education
and explain.
On this particular road, I saw
yellow light. What does it mean?
Because I saw a road crossing sign and I saw a yield sign approaching from this yield that tells whoever is driving along that road that there's a real track ahead of you, and yield says yield for whoever is ahead.
So the train has right of way.
Yeah, the train has right of way. The sign in question. Mm-hmm. My question will be that, is it the right size? Because signs also have sizes.
Here we go.
And besides, does the Danfo driver know the meaning of yield?
He knows.
He
does?
Yes, they know. When they see the shape.
They know.
When they see the shape. That's why it's graphics. Is it beyond you reading yield, there's a red line there. They know. So the graphics has told them what they can do and what they can't do.
Okay. Well, this road safety matter, we will try to reduce the numbers from 30, what did you call it?
39,000.
39,000.
To the barest minimum. Keep it as low as possible if it is possible to eradicate. We have to thank you, gentlemen, for being a part of our conversation this morning. Patrick Adonisi is a road safety expert. Thank you so much for your time this morning, as well as Dr. Kaudi Okwefa, Executive Director, Center for Sustainable Mobility and Access Development. We appreciate your time and your expertise this morning.
Thank you.
So, that's concerning moving your vehicle. How about moving your body? That's up when we return from this break.